Warning: the following podcast contains irreverent humor, exceptionally nerdy opinions, potential cursing, and plenty of love for the prequels. If any of the preceding offends you, please turn off this podcast immediately, and may the Force be with you.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder!
You can't use that word! Only we can use that word!
Hey, I've seen you before. Yeah, whenever Ahsoka was around. You were always close by. How did you get here? Can you help me? I was sent here, but I'm not sure why. What is this? What are you showing me?
You're tuned in to the Nerf Herder Council, your source for Star Wars opinion, conversation, and debate. Featuring your hosts, JT.
You really could technically thaw out Princess Leia like a damn toaster strudel, and she'd be alive. I think I have a new intro clip.
AJ.
Yeah, Rebels is a lot like our show, where we think we have a good idea, and then it just fails in execution.
Steve.
It's a sign of any good audio podcast is visuals, right?
On this episode of the Nerf Herder Council, what exactly constitutes a spoiler? Spoiler alert, we talk about that and tell you what we think and whether or not we like them.
This is the Nerf Herder Council.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. With me, as always, are AJ and Steve. We are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. Thanks to Galactic Empire for allowing us to use their music as our theme song. Go and check out their stuff. They have 2 albums available on Rise Records. You can get that where all of your fine music products are sold or downloaded or streamed, so check that out.
Don't you mean Rise Records?
Yeah. I did mean that. Good correction. And of course, you can also get your official Nerf Herder Council swag. Just go to shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. There are 3 different designs to choose from, and you can put them on any number of kick-ass products like a t-shirt or a coffee mug or a mouse pad and all that kind of good stuff. So go get your Nerf Hurdle. Get your Nerf Hurdle Counselor swag today.
Damn it, now I got to redo the logo.
Right. So 3 designs with 3 new ones coming soon.
Don't make more work for me.
So we wanted to start off the show today with a little bit of Star Wars news. I don't know how many people that aren't like super diehard like we are might have saw this, but the new show, The Mandalorian, that we kind of talked about a little bit on the last episode, there was a news report that some very, very expensive camera equipment was stolen off of the set. And among the cameras and other stuff was supposedly like a data card, like an SD card or something, that had a whole bunch of the film on it. So someone got very expensive equipment in their hands that and also actual footage of the show. So that's kind of big news, because if that leaks out somewhere, that's really bad, considering how anti-spoilerish Disney and Lucasfilm have been with, the Star Wars properties so far. But I saw that and I'm like, what a piece of crap. Like, really?
Yeah, a couple of mistakes were made there. I mean, people stealing gear from a set isn't all that uncommon. It unfortunately happens kind of a lot. That's why security is so tight around there. But the fact that someone forgot to take the memory card out of the camera, before the wrapping for the night, that's on the crew, because that's also one of the protocols because of the incidents of theft.
You got to wonder if it was somebody like transporting the camera to a secure location, and that person transporting it just kind of like, walked off. Instead of turning left to put it in a closet, they turned right to the parking lot.
Could be.
Or it's just an inside job.
I don't know how it could be anything else, because you're not going to leave those cameras out.
That, and you and I can't just randomly walk onto a set either.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's got to be somebody that was working on the production.
With the look of those set photos and all the, criminal underworld element that they focus on in Star Wars, does anyone at least appreciate the irony of having stuff stolen from that set?
Yeah. It was the guy dressed as the Mandalorian himself. Right. It was the main character. That'd be awesome.
He gets busted and he just tries to use a Jedi mind trick on it.
You're not one of those, you dummy. You've got the Mandalorian armor. What the hell?
Nothing to see here. Move along. Hey, guys, there's nothing to see here. Let's move along.
Yeah, this crap happens all the time. I remember reading a book about the making of Star Trek V, obviously back in the 80s, and they were talking about how uniforms would just disappear from the set because people just steal an entire rack of clothes. So it's not new, but I mean, where the hell are you going to offload this stuff?
You just wait many, many, many years, and then you just sell it. Like all the stuff that, like recently, probably in the last couple of weeks, I heard a story about a bunch of stuff that was stolen off the set of Wizard of Oz back in the day, like the shoes, like Dorothy's slippers and stuff. Like she had like 3 or 4 pairs, and only one of them ended up like leaving or staying at the movie set. Multiple other ones were stolen. Then they just pop up like 70, 80 years later, get sold at auction for big dollars. Like,
I
don't know what you'd get for a memory card with the Mandalorian on it 70 years from now, but
so we got to watch like Antique Roadshow in like 70 years to find out if the camera shows up.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'll be dead. I know I'm not living to 112 unless some ungodly miracle occurs.
I don't know. With recent advances in medical technology and your relatively high level of income.
Right, nice.
You're on your deathbed and you see somebody trying to sell a memory card on Antiques Roadshow. You'd be like, you rat bastard. And that's just like you just
that's
pass
the last
away.
thing I ever see. Well, I'll be damned. I was wrong after all. I know what's on that memory chip.
Oh, come on.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, how are they going to offload it? I mean, whoever's buying that is now, party to a pretty severe felony.
And you wouldn't buy it unless you knew what was on it. So yeah, you're definitely complicit in that.
Yeah.
It's got to just
I didn't know, officer. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. It's just got to be a douchebag that's going to go to a library computer or something so you could get a public IP address and just leak stuff so you can't get busted. I don't even think it's a sale thing. This is just a jerk.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would do that.
Because honestly, like you said, you can't offload it. How can you? Other than trying to sell it to somebody else under the table. And again, that's no notoriety or anything, because then what's that person going to do with it other than just release it, public IP stuff. So.
Well, again, I mean, it's intellectual property, which, is pretty much, I'm not a lawyer, but it's protected under the law, and you're stealing something that, think about.
You and I can't even tape it on a VCR if we owned one anymore and distribute it to one of our friends and go, hey, watch this new Star Wars. Technically, it's illegal.
Yeah. I mean, it's piracy in a way, but I mean, it is intellectual property, and especially with all the legal crap you have to go through just to get to be involved in one of these productions. I mean, that's pretty illegal. So,
yeah.
I mean, like, you're pretty much screwed if you try and sell it, and the person who buys it is then complicit, and you're buying stolen property and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't
the memory
get it.
card was just a bonus, though. I think they were just stealing cameras, and one of them happened to have a memory card in
Probably.
it. So at least we can say that the assholes involved in this likely aren't Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
So for once, the assholes we're talking about are not Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
It just happens to be a story about people being assholes, and it relates to Star Wars.
What if they crap their pants because of that? They didn't know it had the chip. They really were just going to sell the expensive cameras because you can't really tell where those are from unless they mark them, And so he's like, man, I'm going to sell these for several $1,000s, and he's just looking through them and everything, and pulls out the memory chip. He's like, oh, son of a bitch.
Crap, I'm a felon.
Yeah.
That's when you just go back to the movie studio and you flick that thing over the fence. So you're just like, hands are washed.
My bad. What was it? Like in Fanboys? I'm a pedophile. I'm a pedophile. I'm a pedophile. Oh my gosh. So, but no, AJ, you brought up
JT's intro clip.
maybe let's not go with that one. But no, AJ, you made a good point that kind of led us to our topic for tonight, as this relates to spoilers. Would people potentially steal this footage of the Mandalorian to kind of find out what's going on, or leak it out there so people could have spoilers? And we've pretty much been on polar opposite ends of the spectrum where spoilers are concerned. In that, I think episode 9 right now is a perfect example. You get set photos leaked and a rumor here and there, and I'm fine with it, and I like speculating on it, and you want absolutely nothing to do with any piece of information until the film is actually out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, because you end up with crap like this going on. Let's take for a minute and assume, let's say whoever did this was actually after the footage. Not so much the cameras, but after the footage. Because why? Because they've just got to know what's going on before anything else happens. And what did you say about that? About the potential consequences of this information being leaked?
it's a felony.
And it could potentially impact the story being told, because once things leak, then they got to change it so the surprise isn't spoiled. That's the kind of crap that's like.
And also it puts it on the back burner now. Instead of coming out in December, we're like, it can't get released till March now because we got reshoots because of the morons that stole all of our first episodes that we did.
Right.
It's like my dog. My dog is so excited to get fed. He sticks his head over the bowl before I've even poured the food. And then I can't pour the damn food because his head's in the way.
That's a hell of an analogy to use.
Like, some people are so interested in getting the early scoop on what's going on with this stuff that they can't actually get the production completed. It's ridiculous. Like, weren't you saying that they've actually got guards hired to shoot down drones over sets?
Yeah, well, it's for episode 9. They actually, I read that they have armed guards around the, the perimeter and interior of the sets where, they're armed to the point that they're there specifically to look for drones and whatnot. And if they see a drone flying around the set, they will shoot it down. I mean, that's the level of security that is, being levied for this film.
Yeah, that's not going to make for a hostile work environment while you're trying to read your lines and you're constantly hearing gunshots going off. It's
Right.
Don't worry, Daisy. Just keep doing your lines. Don't worry about the gunshots.
Exactly.
That's just the drones getting shot down. Nothing else it could possibly be.
Right.
Move along.
See, I don't consider like leaked set photos and people speculating and saying, "Well, I heard this rumor, I don't consider those spoilers, because most times I'd say 80 to 90% of what I've read before the movies in terms of those things, it always turns out to be crap. To me, I like reading it because it's kind of fun, because it builds the excitement of the movie for me. I'm like, ooh, what if this or what if that? It kind of, instead of me just sitting here with nothing to do but twiddle my thumbs and wait for the movie, I actually get to sit there and go, oh, what if they do this? And what if they do that? And, I get to guess at what the story might be or what characters they're going to add. Like, to me, that's just fun to do. Now, I completely agree with you with actual spoilers. Like, when they start releasing official things from Lucasfilm, I tend to not pay attention to that. And especially if I see something like, for example, when the reviews come out like a week before the movie or something, I don't read any of that unless it's very explicitly stated spoiler free, because I don't want the actual story ruined for me. And as we've said on the show before, at this point, anything that they put out like trailer wise and whatnot is not a spoiler, because none of that crap ever turns out the way it looks.
Yeah, Steve, you go even so far in that spectrum where you don't even want to see trailers sometimes.
Trailers I'm okay with. I'm more than okay with that filling the void. Everything else, like I know JT said most of that stuff is wrong. I'm just not willing to take that chance, because I know how pissed off I will be in the theater if I read a fan theory that turns out to be 100% right. And I'm just like, wow, like that was great that I knew that 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. That's never happened to me.
I hate that feeling. And like you said, even if the releases of like, oh, this came straight from Lucas, like those are the ones I just avoid like the plague, because I'm just like, no, don't want anything to do with that. I want to see the movie.
Yeah,
I could really care less about knowing anything about it aside from trailers. I'm cool with, and like you said, most of this stuff well, not most, but there's always something in the trailer. We sit back and go, hey, where was that at in the movie?
Yeah.
So take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, that's the trailers are more than enough to fill the void for me while I wait. Other than that, I will 100% avoid everything I can.
So does that count for like sizzle reels or anything else that they put out?
Sizzle reel is basically a trailer.
Kind of, but it's like, what do they usually do? They usually do like a behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, they've done those.
Cut. Yeah,
they've done those for each of them now. Like
do you count those as spoilers?
No, I'm okay with those because honestly, I'm not trying to pick them apart and go, oh my god, like, you could tell Chewie's got something. They showed his head on the thing from the guys building the suits, and his head looks different. Like, I'm not picking that apart. Other than the last trailer when we all saw the Porg for the first time, and I just went, what the hell is the stupid space chicken doing there? Like, I was I was annoyed by it the first moment I saw it, and then in the trailer when it's sitting there with Chewie, and I'm just sitting there and I go, okay, Chewie's in his normal seat, and there's a Porg pretty much in Han's seat over there. I'm annoyed by these things already. and it was the Ezra syndrome again. Like, instantly, I was just annoyed by Porgs. So.
Well, I think what gets dangerous is like, see, I've never had it bite me in the ass except for 2 times, and one was completely inadvertent because I read a review for Solo in our local paper on their website, cleveland.com. And it said, spoiler free, but it wasn't, because at the very end it says, oh yeah, given the appearance of a certain really popular prequel character at the end of the movie, I was like, damn it. Like that. How is it not a spoiler? Like,
right. What constitutes a spoiler is another question.
That's a spoiler. But the other thing, and this was kind of funny because Lucasfilm didn't even notice that they did this, was in the behind the scenes thing they put out for Rogue One. You know how people like they'll break it down like frame by frame by frame. Oh, look at this in the background. Well,
like a 2-minute video gets a 35-minute YouTube.
Oh
synopsis.
yeah. And
God, even when movies come out after the fact, I can't watch those things.
Yeah,
there's a level of fandom that I just refuse to try to bring myself to. That's it.
Yeah, I can't.
45 things you totally missed in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean,
here's
this one.
Here's 40 things you missed in the first 8 minutes of Empire. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, on this one, they did the breakdown, and Star Wars Newsnet always does this, like, oh, we break it down and show every little thing. I'm like, okay. So sometimes I'll look at those, not all the time. Well, I happened to look at this one for Rogue One, and one of the things that they noticed was they were showing the creature shop, and they had the big furry white thing, like whatever the heck it was, but it was like the creature, like the huge white, like long
Moroff.
Yeah. Okay. They
I buy Lego.
were showing that particular still frame from the video, and they zoomed in on the background, and Lucasfilm messed up, and in the background was the cast of Hayden Christensen from the Back to Tank when, so and when they zoomed in, it was quite obviously Hayden's face, and I went, oh man, like I would have been like, it's only on screen for a few seconds, but it was so cool because you're like, okay, there's Vader not in the suit, like all effed up, like you always wondered, like, oh, because you saw the chamber in Empire. Well, then I saw that, I was like, damn it, like, so that was kind of a spoiler. I mean, it's never been like a plot point. I've never had a plot point spoiled for me, but certain things that you see on screen.
Walk that back a second. So the guy that was in the tank for the scene was Hayden Christensen?
That's who they did a cast of. Yeah, it was like a body cast.
Oh, so it wasn't an actual person in there. It was a
no.
Oh, okay.
And if it wasn't a cast, it looked exactly like him. But I think I read it was a body cast of him. I'm pretty sure. But so don't quote me as 100%. But I think I read that.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, I've had a couple character appearances spoiled. I mean, it didn't in the Solo one. It didn't say Maul, but it said a certain prequel character. So I'm like, okay,
it was enough. It was enough to ruin the scene when it happened.
Exactly. Like, because as the movie's getting to its end, and I haven't seen somebody that I know from the prequels, I'm like, okay, this got to be pretty close to the end. Who's coming out? So then when I saw like the metal foot, I was like, oh, it's Grievous. But then as it scrolled up, I was like, holy crap, it's Maul. So, but I didn't want to know that. Like that's like a huge. That's probably the biggest surprise of the movie.
Right. They thought they weren't.
Case in point, I had no clue until the hood came off while I'm sitting there watching the movie because I'm trying to look at 47 other things at the same time. Had I known that,
so that you can make your 47 different things in the background of the Darth Maul scene that you missed.
Yeah. Yeah, you could see like hairs on the floor that are, blowing in the wind. Where's the wind coming from?
Right.
Yeah. It's a conspiracy.
Yeah. But no, that article said no spoilers, so I thought I was safe.
Yeah, so that scene wasn't ruined for me. I came out of the theater like, it was Maul. You already pretty much knew that.
I didn't know it was Maul, but I did know it was a prequel character. You didn't know it was
Maul, but it took something away from the scene just from that little bit, and that's why I try to avoid everything. I don't want that to happen. That's enough to annoy the hell out of me.
Well, do you remember what I told you was that they had said that Warrick Davis's character in Solo the character's name is Weasel, and he was the same guy that he played in Phantom Menace when he was up in the the loge or whatever it is with Jabba the Hutt. So when they showed him with his mask off, I said, is that all they're going to do? And I said, they can't. They're not going to tease that just because he was in like one scene bitching at Jabba the Hutt because he lost the race. So I was like, well, this can't be it. So, but yeah, I mean, to your question, what does constitute a spoiler? For me, it's plot points. And to that end, I would say characters that give away plot points. Like, for example, Kerry Russell has long been announced as being an actress in episode 9. And if they were to come out and say, oh, she's playing Mara Jade, well, there goes that, because then that means that's Luke Skywalker's wife, which you can instantly connect the dots to being Rey's mom.
Well, it's like when they said Billy D. Williams is going to be in episode 9. What are they going to do? Recast him?
Yeah.
No,
yeah, right.
we know Lando's in it now. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, on that one, it's kind of like when they announced
Luke. The original Mark Hamill.
Well, yeah.
Mark Hamill's in 9. Well, we know we're getting Force Ghost Luke then.
Well, see, that was crap anyway, because you knew that.
No.
You knew he was coming back. They're not just going to kill Luke and have him not come back.
They totally could have.
They would. You'd know damn well they weren't going to do that. Come on.
It might have been stupid, but there was nothing that told us he was guaranteed in the next one at all. Especially the fact that he died, okay?
Well,
I mean, I get he's a Jedi, so you can be a Force Ghost, but it's not like Harrison Ford got offed in 7, and you're like, he'll be back in 8.
They gave you 2 words to tell you. It was right there in the movie. 2 words to tell you exactly why he's going to be back. Star Wars. It's freaking Star Wars. It's Luke Skywalker. He was teaching Rey. What, they're just going to off him in one movie, then she's off on her own learning crap? Like, what, is she going to go to the fucking Jedi library or some shit?
Dude, I don't know, but the point is, it wasn't a lock. We don't know what was going to happen.
No, it was a lock.
No,
I'm completely disagreeing with you on that.
We said it when we did our post on that movie.
Yeah.
I personally felt like it was common sense that Luke was going to be back in some form.
Especially considering Carrie Fisher died.
Like I said before, either they crossover event, they get the damn time stone from Thanos, and Luke's fine, or he's going to be a Force Ghost.
Whoa. Spoiler.
Sorry.
Okay. Some people might not know about that.
Trademark. Sorry.
Hey, it's been a month since the movie came out. Our official spoiler, our embargo on spoilers is up. But
it's too soon. Dude. But yeah,
seriously.
I felt like it was common sense in some way that he was going to be back in it. The Billy D. Williams thing, under my definition, falls as a spoiler, because I would have rather been surprised to see Lando.
I think I would have too. I mean, it doesn't bother me because it's not like some big revelation.
Yeah, it's not like a full blown bother. But when you see him in the movie, to go, okay, there he is, as opposed to, holy shit, Lando's in this thing.
Yeah,
there's a difference to me for that one. So
well, and the thing with Luke is, I mean, look at the fit that everybody threw about not seeing the Knights of Ren, not knowing who Rey's parents are. So those are minor compared to, you imagine the fit people would throw if they don't have Luke Skywalker back as a Force Ghost. If you just had, like, you've seen other Jedi come back as Force Ghosts, and here you've got the most popular character in all of Star Wars outside of Darth Vader and Han Solo, and he's still alive. And they're not going to put him in there. I mean, they would get crucified.
Look, maybe it's just a big FU to the Star Wars community after all the crap they gave for Episode 8, and it's literally just a dead carcass of Luke Skywalker and Lando. They just show an open casket funeral for Lando, and you go, That's it.
That's what he's back for.
Just a huge
dead guy.
screw you to all the people that bitched about episode 8. They just show Luke and Lando dead. That's it. Here you go. Here's your fan service, dicks.
They just do nothing but like back up everything people hated about episode 8, and then the end of the movie, right before the closing credits, it just shows Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams walking out, looking at each other, putting their arms around each other, and flipping the bird. So they've been in cahoots this whole time.
Right before the huge lightsaber battle that we didn't have in 8 because go screw yourself.
Yeah. They put on Star Trek uniforms and give the camera the bird.
Ray and Kylo they just turn the lightsabers off and throw them and have a hand-to-hand combat fight.
Thumb war.
Yeah.
It's a slap fight. It's like a Family Guy slap fight.
Right.
They just get sticks and they have the stupid Star Trek fight with Kirk and...
Yeah. They recreate the thing with that lizard in the 60s series.
Exactly.
This awful fight. They just make the movie as crappy as possible. Oh, you want to dig on Last Jedi, huh? Well, here you go, f***ers.
Just everything. Just like you see like the boom mic like come into a shot and come back out.
They don't edit it out. They leave like
you see the Millennium Falcon come in. You just see the fishing line holding it while somebody's dragging it across a space backdrop.
They make it look like a 50s episode of Lost in Space on purpose. The dubbing is all wrong. Like Chewbacca opens his mouth and like half a minute later here, just some guy making the noise on set to simulate that would be so awesome. But
on the official stuff, I don't think there's ever a spoiler in those because that's the one thing. I won't read any articles or set reports or none of that crap. But anything that does come out through official channels like the Entertainment Weekly stuff or anything that goes on the Star Wars YouTube channel, like that's all part of the hype for me. That's all they're crafting a whole campaign and an experience, right. And that's where my excitement comes from.
Because you brought up the entertainment tonight that we went through the whole thing with like the 8 photos that came out, and we were like breaking them down, going, "Who the hell are these guys in the red suits?" Blah, blah, blah. It's I kind of agree with you there that
like that's when the fun starts for me. I don't want anything that's not released through official channels.
Right.
That's the stuff that I'm afraid might have something that ruins the experience for me. But anything that comes out officially, that's part of the experience for me.
Yeah, I think. I was just thinking about this. I mentioned about, introducing a character and that could be a potential spoiler. About the closest that we had was in one of the trailers for Rogue One when it showed the back of Vader's head.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh my God, Vader's in this movie. And he really didn't have anything to do with the plot except for that one awesome scene. So it wasn't like he changed what happened in the movie. So I think that kind of tells us that going forward, if like, let's say we do see somebody that looks like Rey's parents or something, in a trailer for episode 9, we're like, oh my God, they're going to show her parents. It'll probably just show them like hammered on space wine and falling, like puking between their feet on the streets of Jakku and then keeling over dead. Like they don't really have, it's just showing them, oh yeah, they were alcoholic junk traders that died in a pauper's grave. Like,
chances are better or not, you'll see people that we're going to assume are Rey's parents that they're not going to be that character in the movie.
Oh, between reshoots and just general good crafting of the trailers, the misdirection going on in those things is ridiculous.
It's great.
Yeah. They've nailed that.
And go back to when you guys were at Celebration and the trailer for episode 7. Now, again, I don't consider it a spoiler because it was a trailer. They released it themselves. But could you have imagined going to the theater 100% free of everything when it got to the scene where
Chewie were
Han
home?
and Chewie... Okay, could you have imagined how you would have felt if you knew 0 going up to that point?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, we kind of knew when they were on the Falcon, they were going to hide, and they're like, oh, God, they're coming. You kind of had that feeling. You're like, oh, it's the Chewie we're home moment. Here it comes. Here it comes. And it still felt great. But can you imagine how much better it would have felt if you didn't know that Harrison Ford was going to be in episode 7 or that anything like that?
I don't think that they wanted to clean up all the messes in the theater from people like me. I don't
line from Always Sunny. I'm the guy that cleans up the loads.
I don't know what bodily fluid would have come out of me at that point, but if that door would have opened and Han Solo would have ran
It would
in,
have came out of 3 different holes, I'm sure. Of it.
dude,
Right?
Seriously, get ready for an edit. I swear there'd be kids in the theater and I wouldn't be able to help it. I would have gone, holy fuck yes, fuck Han fucking Solo, fuck yes. Like, I would have freaked out.
You got a sound effect long enough to cover that, Steve?
Nope. Don't you worry, I'm a professional.
Yes, I would have absolutely lost my mind. I would have, and the whole rest of the movie, I'd be sitting there going, oh, "It's Han Solo! It's Han Solo! Han Solo's back!" Like I would have just been absolutely. I couldn't have paid attention to anything going on in the movie.
Watch, they'll do that in 9 with the bogus set photo that we got tweeted. They'll use that. They'll use the whole like time travel thing, and they'll like save Han Solo. But that'll be the big surprise for 9. So he'll be resurrected, and then that's exactly what'll happen with JT.
Well, according to the bogus set photo, if we're going to use that, Han Solo will be in it because Indiana Jones is going to be there.
I just think that's some fabulous efficiency in movie making right there. To take a set piece from Pirates of the Caribbean in 2012 and repurpose it for a set in episode 9.
They did.
Incredible.
Oh, yeah. When I saw that, I'm glad that didn't turn out to be true.
Cost-cutting measures thanks to Solo's low performance.
Indiana Jones and Jack Sparrow are in episode 9. You heard it here first.
I'd take Indiana Jones. Screw it. They killed off Han Solo, the peckerheads.
But yeah, so let's segue into that. So what was this bogus set photo that you thought you had a lead on?
Oh my God. Well, no, the whole
You got hooked.
tons of Star Wars
You
fans.
got hooked so bad.
Up your ass. Tons of people did. It was
that's why
turned out-
spoilers are dumb. If you don't look for them, you can't be made
I
a
wasn't
fool of.
looking for it. It said set photo episode 9. I'm like, cool. I want to look at this,
Well, then you got had along with everybody else.
Well, see, you know what's funny? You're going to keep ripping on me, and because you're being a jerk, every time I see something, I'm just going to say it on the show so you get spoiled anyway. Don't forget, I am malicious like that. I will do that to you.
You are a very petty man.
That's fine. But no, it looked like a picture that was supposedly from episode 9.
Sorry, very
Poultry.
portly.
Portly, yes.
Paltry, portly,
poultry.
You're all of those things.
Right. But no, so this photo, it came out and someone said it was a picture from Pinewood Studios, which some people doubted because of the unbelievably tight security there. And come to find out, it was actually a picture from the most recent Pirates of the Caribbean movie. So it was not from Star Wars. And I was thrilled for that because one of the things that they noticed was there was something on the floor that was like a drawing. It was like basically something that was just put in there that was going to be CG'd in later. And it looked exactly like something in the World Between Worlds in that Rebels episode with the godforsaken time travel. And I was like, I about lost my mind. I'm like, if they bring that crappy, stupid, damn time travel thing into a live action movie, I don't know how anybody could ever say that the sequel trilogy isn't the crappiest trilogy. I don't care how much people hate the prequels. If you introduce time travel, it's bad enough they did it in Rebels because it was a horrific idea.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. I will fight anyone on that one. It was the dumbest damn thing ever because that just is the laziest writing. And someone said online, they said, well, I think they needed like a physical visualization of, when the Jedi can see different times and, see into the past and see into the future. They had to like have you visualize that. I said, no,
they didn't.
because
No,
it's the
not at
same
all.
reason. The same reason why people bitch about midichlorians. You didn't need to like explain. I don't have a problem with that.
Sorry, was Anakin peering into the world between worlds when he was seeing Padme in childbirth?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you didn't need the midichlorians. I don't have a problem with it. It was silly, but I don't really care about it.
They dropped that like a bad habit pretty fast anyway.
Yeah. And you don't need freaking time travel. The force is cool. It's like your theory
Every
on
time
Boba
you
Fett.
run out of ideas, you don't have to instantly go to time travel as a way to fix it.
Yeah. And I was so glad that wasn't the case because I hated that. And if I would have had to see that in episode 9, I'd be like, how can anyone defend J.J. Abrams? He basically rehashes episode 4 and episode 7. And then in episode 9, he puts in time travel to solve continuity problems. Like, and you're going to tell me he's good for Star Wars? No. So I'm glad that's not in there because I want episode 9. Honestly, that's why I'm looking at this crap because Episode 7 is my least favorite Star Wars movie. And I want to love episode 9 so that I don't have to look at J.J. Abrams like, you effed up Star Wars.
So you're afraid of the outcome so far.
I am.
Just keeping an eye on things, huh?
Yeah, because I'm like, I'm trying to get excited because I'm so nervous. So I look at these set photos and stuff, and there's stuff, people are talking about, they're filming in the desert, which is not a spoiler. They've been in the desert pretty much every damn movie, but
Ooh, let's place a wager right now. We got two options really for that then. Actually, 3.
yes.
Option A, Tatooine. Option 2, Jakku. Jakku?
Yeah, what would I say? Yeah, I'm gonna go back to Jakku.
Or option 3, some new desert planet. What do you think?
No. Then there's there's a fourth choice then. Jeddah.
Okay, so we've got 3 desert planets or none of the above.
Yes.
So A, B, C, or D, none of the above. What do you think, Steve?
Tatooine. They're bringing it back around. They're bringing it home.
I think you're wrong because tons of people online have said that just be lazy because you've already been there a bunch of times. People have said Jakku makes the most sense because Rey and her parentage.
Right.
Yep.
I don't know which one I think it'll be. I know which one I hope it will be.
Which is?
I hope it will be Jeddah because I really like the whole Jedi Force thing. And if Rey goes back to the Jedi homeworld, I think that would be really, really cool.
Or it could be E, all of the above, because they can literally just spin the camera 360 and have Jeddah on one side and Jakku behind them. So.
Yeah.
Right. Now,
No, and that's interesting because I would say based on your comments about J.J. Abrams, it's Tatooine.
that would seem to make sense.
That guy, I mean, he wants to do the callbacks. He's not subtle with any of his stuff. I mean, episode 7. The more I thought about, and yes, audience, I listen to my own show.
I think we all podcasters do.
I could have just done all episode 7 for the last show because as I was writing the post up after we recorded, I was like, oh, we didn't touch on this, or this, all from episode 7 that never got explained. He is so good at setting things up as mysteries and not resolve. That's kind of like his thing is I'll just throw a bunch of crap out there and only resolve the ones that I want. And then every callback that he did was completely heavy-handed. So how much more heavy-handed can you get than we're wrapping up the Skywalker saga? Let's go back to the planet that we first saw in the first movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm afraid of.
Force Ghost Luke is going to tell her to go back to Tatooine for something.
Yeah.
And they're going to wrap
Go back to
everything up.
Kenobi's hut. I'm sure he's got something in there. He's been stealing shit from me for years.
That's awesome.
Your grandfather,
Right?
Yeah, I don't know how you would repackage Return of the Jedi, so I'm hoping that he doesn't find a way to do that. So I'm not like extra pissed. But
after the events of episode 8, I'm not sure if you could really rehash Return out of the story that's been told previous. But I mean, it's not impossible, but I can't picture it in my head how to take everything that came out of 8 and turn that into a rehash of 9. So I'm not really too worried about that, honestly.
they're off to a good start. I mean, there was definitely a time jump between Empire and Jedi,
Right.
while Luke was training up and doing all that stuff. And as we discussed, I really don't think you can pick right up immediately after the events of Last Jedi, like Last Jedi did to the events of Force Awakens. So you're going to have another time jump. So we're good. We're already starting off with Return of the Jedi.
well, I don't know if you can do that. I mean, you have like 12 people on the Falcon. What are they just going to be like? They're going to stay off of the First Order's radar for 3 years. I mean, they could do that, and I wouldn't be against it. It's not likely, I guess.
It was a joke. You can.
Oh, okay. I thought you were serious.
They're just hanging
Sorry
out.
about that. My
they're
bad.
just hanging out on the backside of the Star Destroyer.
Yeah, they just sit there like the garbage thing, but they sit there for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm getting hungry. Catch some more of that space garbage. Like maybe there's some chicken bones or something in there. But all right, well, why don't we close up shop on that note? Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. Don't forget, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. Thanks again to Galactic Empire. Check their stuff out on Rise Records. There you go, AJ. You can find the Nerf Herder Council on pretty much any podcast app that you like. Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, CastBox, Spotify. If you're able to, please leave us a 5-star review. We would appreciate it. We're also on Google Podcasts. All of our episodes are available on YouTube. Just search for the Nerf Herder Council. The website, nerfherdercouncil.com. We have our Facebook page. You can interact with us there. You can email us directly, feedback@nerfherdercouncil.com. And you can also hit us up on Twitter. It is @NHC Podcast. So once again, I am your host, JT, @DogPoundJedi. He's AJ.
No spoilers, please, @DrakeAdams579.
He is Steve.
@JSteve1005.
Bye, Hugh Jackson. Bye, Todd Haley. We'll catch you next time.
This bucket of bolts is never gonna get us past that blockade.
This bucket's got a few surprises left in her. Plus, me and Chewie are on it. Ain't that right, Chewie?
Hell yeah, you my Nerf herder.
You my Nerf herder.